I really enjoyed Together. It's not a serious movie, but it's very entertaining. It's kind of crazy.
It felt gimmicky at times and just felt like the script wasn't developed enough.
So, The Materialist was a horror movie masquerading as a rom com. Together is a true rom com pretending it is a body horror. It's this,
It's the
and you're listening to It's Really That Deep.
We have takes on everything you're watching.
We are discussing Together, a 2025 supernatural body horror film written and directed by Michael Shanks in his directorial debut. The film stars real life married actors Dave Franco and Alison Brie.
This, why are we discussing together?
Because I heard just enough discourse about this film that I was like, oh, let's check it out. I like Alison Brie and the idea of a real life couple playing a couple. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I also saw specifically an image of their eyes merging, and I was like, what the hell is going on in this film? That's all I really knew about this film going in. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah, same for me. I'd seen the image on the marketing actually, with their eyes fusing. And you mentioned that this movie is going to be exploring codependency in a relationship, which is something I love discussing. Yeah, and I decided to watch it. So there's was together good, bad, or mid.
Together was good. It was so good. I had so much fun watching this movie. What do you think?
Together was mid to good for me.
Okay, that's so interesting. I thought it was so much fun. I can't say it's excellent because of one thing it did, or it was close to being an excellent film to me, but it was good. It entertained me, it made me think, and it made me laugh out loud a couple of times, which I don't easily do.
So, regarding the synopsis of this movie, years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads where they move to the countryside, abandoning all that is familiar in their lives except for each other. With tensions already flaring and a nightmarish encounter with a mysterious unnatural force that threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh.
I thought this film's use of time and plotting was very efficient. As a person that is struggling with a lot of films right now, not pacing themselves properly, I thought this movie got into the action and the crazy at pretty much the right times, and it escalated the tension and it shifted its tone at the right times. From the beginning, when we're first introduced to them as a couple, I immediately get it. I'm like, okay, it's one of them ones where this woman doesn't understand that it's not by force to be in a relationship. Leave. I get it from the beginning with the cringy proposal. Then they move into the new town, and you're like, oh, okay, scary haunted house. This is all going to go left. They fall into the cave quickly enough. You start meeting creepy town members, and they start merging. Then it just escalates in the crazy from there. And everything is intentional in the crazy. You see the Chekhov's gun of the power tool, which I knew was going to be used, right? Um, and you see all the little hints about the people that went missing and the weird teacher, and everything comes to fruition. And they get mentioned the diazepam to you. You know it's all going to be used, but you're not 100% sure. Like, I didn't predict that as they were fusing into each other, they were going to start snorting diazepam off the floor. And I didn't literally think that she was going to tie this man up against the chair to saw their arms apart. I enjoyed all of it. Why the one part of the narrative I didn't like is the conclusion for what their characters decided to do. I bought these people's emotional journey all the way up towards the end, and all the different ways they kind of are wrong for each other and they're not great people to each other. And I understood why they were staying together and why they were ultimately realizing they should break up. But you see, at the end, when he essentially decides to sacrifice himself to merge into her, it didn't work for me. And the reason for that is I think it would have been way more powerful narratively if he acknowledged that we shouldn't be together anymore. We're not a couple anymore, in my opinion. We don't love each other, we're not healthy. Or I view you as my life partner and I feel like I wasted your time or whatever it is. And so I'm essentially sacrificing my life to keep you alive. I would have found that to be more interesting than him suddenly realizing actually she is the love of his life and he does want to marry her. I just found that to not really make sense.
But I think that was his intention, though, His intention was to sacrifice himself for her, but because of the supernatural element, and I think there's a reason why the directors decided to go with this narrative, but because of the supernatural element, they had no choice ultimately. Their choice had been removed at that point. A choice was just an illusion by then. That was how I interpreted it.
I understand all of that and I agree with that. My problem is, why did he discover that he's still so romantically in love with her and he does want to marry her? Did that make sense that he would have been at that mental state at that point to you?
I think it was the point you mentioned that he's realized he's taken up enough of this woman's time effectively. They're screwed either way. I think at that point, he thought if I kill myself, that she will be able to go on. Of course, it's never going to happen. But I don't think he realized that at that time.
But then why does he say to her that I love you, I love my life, I don't want us to break up, I want to marry you?
That was just a farce. As soon as he said that, he went to kill himself.
Oh, you're reading it as a farce. Okay, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Okay, okay. Fair enough. I get you.
Let's talk about the themes. So first up, we have codependency. It's obviously the largest running theme in this movie regarding how couples, but also society. I think there's a broader societal point here. Expect couples to essentially become one, and then slowly start to remove the importance of other aspects of their life, whether that's their community and even to an extent their careers and stuff like that. You're expected to put your partner first. What did you think about the depiction of codependency in this movie?
I found it very funny. It's something we've seen in movies before, and in fact, a movie that we recently reviewed, The Materialist, kind of shows these kind of men who are laying about and expecting their partner or their ex partner in that case to still just always kind of be there for them, and they don't even necessarily like them that much, but they're just used to them being there. So I've seen it done before, and yet I still found it engaging and interesting the way they depicted it. I think part of it is both actors do have great timing with each other. Sometimes real people playing against people they know in real life doesn't work. I actually thought it worked perfectly fine here. I was convinced by them and how they spoke to each other and how they engaged with each other. I was convinced about the ways they annoy each other,
Mm,
and I kept on thinking, like, how much of this are they pulling from real life, and
mm,
how strange must it have been when they went home every night while playing these kind of characters opposite
mm,
each other. I really enjoyed it. The visuals of them quite literally merging into one is so over the top and so insane, and the metaphor is a bit on the nose,
mm,
but this movie is not trying to be subtle. It is supposed to be on the nose. That's kind of the point of it all. So I didn't
mm,
mind. And again, I found it really funny. So it worked for me.
mm. I'll be honest. I think because I went in knowing that this was supposed to be tackling codependency in romance through body horror, I guess I was quite underwhelmed. I was quite underwhelmed. I think that I just feel that there's so much you could have done with this story, and they decided to. It just felt very gimmicky. It felt cheesy. It felt, as you say, on the nose. I don't know that there was so much artistry going on, not only with design but even with writing. I just think the writing was meh. I think part of my problem as well is that I actually wasn't convinced by the chemistry. So imagine my
Oh,
surprise when I found out that this couple was together in real life. I literally, my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe it. Now, having said
really?
that, I've been going backwards and forwards with it a lot, where I've been thinking, on the one hand, with couples, especially couples that have been together for a long time, sometimes you don't necessarily see chemistry. Sometimes you just see comfort. And it's very possible that that was the message this movie was trying to portray. But because I couldn't see anything binding these two together apart from time, and I guess I understand that maybe that's the point being made here, but there was nothing binding them together apart from comfortability and time. I just couldn't see why would you even go to this new town? Why would you even be trying to force it? But again, I understand that the way how I think about relationships, the way how I think about dating is just completely fundamentally different to the way how this director and the way how society in general tends to think about these things. So for me, I just couldn't really resonate with the movie. It should have stopped 10 minutes in before they even got to the town for me.
On the subject of that, like almost no chemistry feeling that real life couples get into late in time, I do understand what you mean. Like, I wouldn't say the energy they were giving me was, oh my god, sparks flying, explosive energy. But the chemistry I was feeling was people that were naturally acting off of each other very organically. Like, it didn't feel to me like there was clunkiness in where they were meeting each other in their acting performances. I mean, just compare it to The Materialist,
I
where
agree.
you have one person look at each other at the other, and then the other one will look, and you're like, are they even in the same room right
Mm,
now?
mm.
There was like an organicness to the way the two of them engaged with each other. But it wasn't obviously a kind of thing where like romantically I was rooting for them. On the subject of being on the nose, again, I can't argue with you there. There's literally that moment when I think it's when she's tied him up and she's getting ready to saw the arms apart, and he or she says, if we don't split now, it's going to be
Yeah,
much harder later.
yeah. And they said that
And
multiple times throughout the movie as well.
yes, what the first few times when they're referring to their general relationship, this time when they're referring to physically tearing each other apart from each
Yeah,
other using a power tool. And I was like, okay, okay, bro, we understand. You don't need to spell
yeah,
it out. We get it.
yeah.
We get it.
I think another part of the reason why I didn't resonate with this movie is because it didn't give them any option to not ultimately fuse into that weird androgyne scenario. And I didn't like that because I feel like what is the message you're portraying here then? You know? 'Cause-
That you either die or you merge.
Okay, okay.
But if you listen to the director, you understand why that is the message of the film.
So by the way, when I first watched this, in the beginning, I would have said that this was a teetering on mid movie. Because I thought basically that the ending was a bad ending, that this we're supposed to be sad about this reality. Until I watched Michael Shanks' interview. And he says, this is a happy ending.
Let's talk about the director of this movie in our Who Made This segment, where we unpack the mind behind the film. Talk to me about your film. Talk to me about your thoughts about Michael Shanks.
I don't know much about him. I kind of wish I didn't watch his interview, and I kind of wish he didn't go and do that interview. Some of these directors are talking too much. Why did he go and do that interview and say that the ending is happy? This is a happy ending. So this is what I mean. Like when I hear stuff like this, it completely I can't give you the credit of exploring codependency in relationship when you're telling me that you think this is a happy ending. I cannot trust you when it comes to this topic. That's what you're telling me. So when I heard that interview, it made me dislike this movie actually a bit because I'm like, I cannot trust the narrative this man is portraying here. I note that the movie it punishes the couple who tries to maintain their autonomy. So to be honest with you, the movie was giving us clues about what Michael Shanks thinks about relationships and whether or not you should be codependent.
Here's the thing I feel about directors and their art, and I feel this way about pretty much all creatives. I feel quite strongly that no one is capable of creating art that is not autobiographical. The question is, how blatant are they with it? Michael Shanks is a person who has been with his partner for, I believe, like almost 2 decades now. And you can tell in the story, and he seems to be in a happy, healthy relationship with her by his consideration. So he views this whole concept of you completely integrating yourself into another human being to a point that to the outside world it almost looks grotesque
Mm,
as his own kind of twisted love. And to be honest, when it comes to the way I view artists' art, and this applies to film, music, writing, whatever, there is nothing I enjoy more than seeing a work of art that that person completely believes in every atom of
mm,
it. It does I don't have to agree with it. I could think it's crazy, I could think it's dumb, but when I can really feel that this person has poured themselves completely into the work of art, I tend to respond quite well to that. Not
mm,
always, but I tend to do when I feel like this person didn't just make something to just generate a reaction out of someone just for the sake of it, but
mm,
like they basically regurgitated their entire existence into something, and everything about how they fundamentally feel about that subject matter, or they think, or they question about the world, is the story they have painted for you over the course
mm,
of 90 minutes or whatever. I tend to respond pretty well to that. So I think that is why I do respond well to Together, despite me thinking some of his views that this ending is a good thing is kind of crazy.
Mm, that's fair.
Should we talk about how you could read the ending of this movie as something that is somewhat queer coded?
What I found interesting about the ending is, well, in fact, it's before we even get to the ending, it's the concept of the androgyne. So, of course, androgyne sounds like androgynous, right? And the final product we see of Tim and Millie is an androgynous presenting person. And I just found it very interesting that the first androgyne we technically see is Jamie. But Jamie is the product of two men instead of a man and a woman. We don't usually use the word androgynous to describe men um, in a world that has gender assumptions that America tends to have, right? Or even Australia, because I think this is an Australian movie. So I did find it interesting that the movie goes out of its way to tell us that this androgyne product is something that, yes, it's two bodies, but also because of the nomenclature, it alludes to something that's neither male nor female. But the first androgyne we see is very much a male, or at least presents as a male. I also think that there may be overlapping themes here of children, right? I also thought of this product being something almost like a child because when society says that a couple becomes one, well, I think the Bible even refers to that as sex ultimately, right? So, sex between a man and a woman is when a man and a woman become one. And the product that the Bible cares about, at least, of sex is children. I'm not convinced that Michael Shanks has the range here or is actually trying to make any comment about gender, but it was just something I noticed. In the beginning, I wondered if Jamie was chosen to be the androgyne because it's probably maybe it's easier to present a man instead of something that's supposed to be neither male or female. I'm not sure. What did you think?
I think you're giving this a level of depth that the people making this film did not give it. There are many things about this film that are similar to stuff we've seen before in movies like Hereditary and Midsommar when it comes to culty people doing weird stuff in the woods and it being a metaphor for how lonely people feel about society or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And beyond all those things we've seen before, there was nothing else about the metaphor that I found deeper. When we get to the end of the movie and you start seeing them merging into this grotesque, the substance like creature, I was like,
Mm.
okay, I see where this is going. But for some reason, I could never have imagined that we were going to see some prosthetic wearing Alison Brie pop out at the end, which some apparently they digitally overlaid some parts of Dave
Mm-hmm.
Franco's features over her face, and this person they just calmly say to Alison Brie's character's parents, "Hey, I
Welcome.
just found out. Oh, you're welcome. I just found it so silly, so over the top, so ridiculous. Even though I knew that they were going there, but I still found it just. I rolled my eyes so thoroughly, but I was amused. I wasn't offended. It was just like, okay, you
Mm.
people are really just not serious. And I was like, yeah, this is not a serious movie. Like,
No.
it's just like cartoonish antics in the woods and snorting diazepam. When he screams muscle relaxant, I was like, yeah, you guys are just trolling with this film, and I'm okay with that. Did you notice the costumes that the core members wear? Jamie McCabe. It was almost identical to the costumes in Opus, just that this one wasn't blue.
Oh, really?
All these movies are melting into each other, just like the androgyne.
Let's talk about the other movie this steals from. I was not impressed by the failed combination product of the couple that went missing because it literally felt like they lifted it out of substance and put another head on it. The
Oh, it was
substance.
CGI. I think the
The
substance
worst,
looked more
yeah.
practical. Yeah, I
It wasn't
agree.
impressive. I wasn't happy.
The monster we saw that was in the caves, which is the couple that had gone missing, which I do find interesting the law of what happened there because clearly like the male partner in that couple had been stabbed in the neck mid merge. And I don't know if the implication we should take from that is he stabbed himself mid merge to like save her from being fully merged, or she stabbed him. And I think they leave
Mm,
it ambiguous on purpose. I thought the effects for that resultant being looked more real and more practical than that weird airbrush thing we saw at the
really?
end.
The
Yeah, I
monster I
thought
was
so.
talking about was that character. That failed.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
I mean, I also agree it doesn't look as good as the substance, but I thought the
Mm.
CGI of the last bits of the merge of our lead characters, Tim and Millie, looked really bad.
Mm.
I thought that the original thing they do, drinking that random water in an abandoned cave, that was some white people
White
stuff.
people shit.
Like, I don't, in a new town that you just got to, it's bad enough doing that anywhere. But specifically, have you even established
Mm.
what the water quality in this place is?
But there's something else I think a lot of people are not clocking.
Go for it.
Millie wasn't compelled by this force until she went to Jamie's house and he gave her a glass of water.
Ah, but
It
I
was
thought she
at
drank
that
some
point.
of the water. I thought she drank some of the water as well.
I don't think so. She was
In
drinking
the
wine.
cave. Ah,
She was
interesting.
fine until she goes to Jamie's house and has his dodgy water.
I wonder if there's something to be said there that even though both of them are codependent and that is unhealthy on both their sides, he actually is the one that is actually forcing them to cling. He's the one that is the original sinner in
Yeah,
making them cling to each other. I do think that actually makes sense
yeah.
as symbolism. Another thing I will say about visual effects for this film is that unlike a movie we recently watched, My Oxford Year, when he needed to look ill, he actually looked ill.
True. In fact, while we're here, I have to shout out one thing. Like you said, this movie was quite funny at times. One scene that had me barely rolling, literally, I had to control myself, was when Millie's in Jamie's house and she suddenly sees Tim literally holding his neck. Like, you can see this guy's just struggling, like, he just needs to get access to her. I literally burst out laughing. It was so funny.
He was really feeling in the bushes,
Yeah.
thinking that he's watching her with some man. I knew what was going on with that teacher very early on. The
Did
moment they
you?
showed the two, oh yes, the moment they showed the two rings on his finger, I was like, oh okay, I know what this is.
Ah, I didn't clock it immediately.
No, I knew immediately. Immediately they showed the two rings. I was like, oh okay, this is two human beings we're looking at. And
Mm.
I will say another weird thing with him, of which I enjoyed that performance in general. It was weird, but not
Yes.
actually that creepy.
Yes.
Was at the end when he's trying to convince her, oh, just embrace it. This will be good for you. And she's running away. And he's just standing there. They distort his face in this very
Yes.
strange way. And I didn't know if I was imagining it. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
I think this is the movie perhaps revealing its cards a bit too much. I think they were trying to show you that this is two people.
Babe, we already got it.
Me knew.
We already knew. That's the thing about this movie. It keeps on telling us stuff that we are. It's like we already understand the metaphor. Thank you.
Hmm.
Got you.
I do have a couple other themes that I enjoyed being displayed or depicted in this movie. One of them was low libido in a man. This is something
Oh.
that society doesn't take seriously. And to be fair, I would even argue the movie doesn't really take it seriously either. It doesn't really address it. It's basically just used as a plot device to illustrate that this couple is struggling in some way. And I also think it was good to show that Millie herself wasn't necessarily being the most, let's say, she wasn't really doing her part to try and understand where it was coming from. I did enjoy seeing that. I also enjoyed seeing Tim's family dynamic. I think basically the reason why Tim's character works for me is because we get to see why he's such a complicated, closed off person, and it does come from his childhood. I think ultimately that's the reason why he's not even really open to have a relationship that's truly intimate, much less codependent. So I think although it worked for his character, that's why it didn't work for me in the context of the movie.
On the subject of his family, again, my criticism of I've seen a lot of these aesthetics before. Some of those shots of his memories of his parents with his dad dead in the bed looked shot for shot like scenes from Midsommar when
Mm,
Florence Pugh's character is remembering
it's
what
true.
happened to her parents. And again, I continue to have a problem with the fact that all horror movies are circling around the same aesthetics right now. It's like,
Mm,
get creative, yo.
mm,
I do agree with you. I actually think the reason why, even though I think this is a silly movie, I
mm,
also think it's a pretty well done movie, is that it's actually a tricky thing you are doing in making our two characters people that are so clearly bad for each other and are also
mm.
kind of like almost nasty to each other many times and can be kind of insufferable people. But I also felt like they were well written characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree
Like
with that.
the messiness of each of them, the cruelty sometimes of each other of them, the dysfunction of them, the incompetence or incompleteness of them, it didn't feel thin to me. It felt real. Like I was like, I don't know these kind of people directly in real life, but I can understand that people like this will exist. And they don't
Mm,
fully feel like a caricature to me. It is exaggerated for comedic effect sometimes,
mm,
but I understand who they're telling us each of these people are.
mm,
And I actually did appreciate that.
mm. The only thing that I think grated on me with some of the writing with regards to Millie in particular is that on multiple occasions she acts as an audience surrogate. So, for example, when they're in the forest and Tim suddenly has a compass, and of course, I'm immediately like, well, where did you get a compass? And here comes Millie saying, well, where did you get a compass? I think that works one or two times, but I think they did that a bit too many times. I think another time when she did that was when he suddenly knows to look in the center of the ceiling to go and find the Rat King disastrous thing. And she's like, well, why did you know to look there? Again, it's like,
Wait, I'm just clocking that the Rat King is supposed to be introducing you to the concept of all the merging at the beginning of this
yes.
movie. Rat King's an urban legend, by the way. They're not real. But I didn't even deep down until you just said it.
Yes.
Okay,
And
go
the dog,
on.
did you clock the dog as well?
Oh yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
got the dog. I actually thought that was a good intro to the movie. At first, I was like, "Am I watching the wrong film?
Mm-hmm.
Did I load up the wrong thing?" And then I realized what they were doing. But once again, it does continue with my theme that this movie tells you what point it's trying
Mm,
to make, and then it makes the point again,
mm, mm.
because they were almost too explicit with what
Yeah.
they were showing had happened to the dogs, that when it starts happening to our characters, I'm like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. On
Mm-hmm.
the one hand, that's kind of refreshing because some of this horror mystery stuff that's going on right now, where it's like, we leave everything ambiguous. You
Mm.
discourse about it.
Mm-hmm.
Can get a bit irritating to me, but there's a line between not doing that and being way too explicit with your metaphor or your
Mm-hmm.
comparisons or your hints.
Mm-hmm. As much as I'm saying that I felt that the movie was gimmicky and, on the nose at times, I was still entertained. And that's the reason I
Yeah,
would say that it was mid to good.
one of the real entertaining moments is when he shows up at her school, which as that
Yes.
scene was happening, all I was thinking about is all your takes on men's weaponized incompetence. Because what do you mean that your partner got this new job that is paying all of his bills, that you guys moved across country for, and on her first, second day of work, you're showing up in her school, her workplace, which has children in it, looking like some kind of dope fiend, itching for the coochie,
Mm,
dragging. Like, what? Are you
mm,
okay?
mm,
Like, I know it's supernatural forces that are controlling you, but can you comport yourself a bit? At least text and say, let's meet up outside the school.
mm.
The scene where they become attached to each other, I don't know why I didn't see it coming where it was going. It was like just right after they had sex that I was like, oh, this is where this is about to go. They're going to be stuck here. And I was like, okay, this is a
Yep.
funny gag. I was thinking that it's so crazy that the crew that filmed this movie would have been filming a real life couple simulating themselves having sex and getting stuck to each other and
Mm-hmm.
having to tear themselves apart from each other. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that must have been a crazy day on set.
I did think the acting in that scene was really good though, because I felt it for them. Obviously, I know they're not stuck together, but I really felt it for them. Like, oh my god, what happens when someone walks in? I loved it. It was a good scene.
I think again, I think that this is where casting a real life couple works. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that non couples can't do it. Like, a good enough actor is a good enough actor. But there was just something so, oh shit, we're in this situation. How are we going to react? It
Mm-hmm.
felt so seamless between them in the moment. Like, I didn't question any of it for a second. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they felt like real people panicking.
Mm-hmm.
What would you give Together out of 10?
I would give Together 6 out of 10.
I would give it a 7 out of 10. Always just need a movie to entertain me, and Together entertained the hell out of me, and I was just able to have a long conversation with you about it. Like, it's not a serious conversation, but it was still a conversation, so it made me think a bit, and it made me laugh, and I was engaged throughout the viewing experience. It's a good 7 out of 10. It's kind of movie I'll tell people, yeah, get some popcorn, get one of your friends or your toxically codependent partner and watch this film with them.
I must say that I don't know that I would necessarily recommend watching this in cinema. I don't. Wait till it comes out on streaming.
I agree. I watched it on streaming and I liked that I watched it on streaming. I preferred the streaming experience. I will say another good thing about this movie is like lighting wise, I liked it throughout because I have a problem with horror movies and movies in general and lighting. And I thought this movie was well lit throughout. We're doing our Bechdel Test segment. The Bechdel Test is a measure of representation of women in film and other fiction. In Alison Bechdel's comic strip, one woman explains that she only goes to a movie if it satisfies the following requirements. The movie has to have at least two women in it. They need to talk to each other and they need to talk to each other about something other than a man. Does Together pass the Bechdel test?
No, absolutely not.
No, no, it doesn't. It fails.
It fails miserably.
Why do all these movies struggle with this so much?
It's written by a man. Women are side characters to men.
Is it really that deep?
Yes. Yes.
A movie that I have praised for feeling like all the people feel real, and as bizarre as it gets, I'm convinced by these characters. I'm convinced by how they engage with people. How is it that you still cannot get something as normal and regular as two women having a conversation to exist in this world? I'm actually very scared by how many movies keep on failing this. I think it's only one movie that we have been completely on board with that it definitely passed.
And that's
Both of us.
Materialist.
Yes. Yes. Every
Who
other
wrote
one, either one of
Materialist?
us. Celine's song. Oh my god, men.
Men. It's men.
It's crazy. I was thinking that, okay, I was watching the movie like you with the hawk eye, that, okay, there must be something, there must be something, there must be something. Apart from the very opening scene, like the beginning scene where she's speaking to one of their friends or whatever about how she's going to propose, which obviously she's talking about proposing to a man. Do two women ever speak again in this movie?
They speak again, but once again about a man, and the friend says to her, basically, you need to leave the guy.
Dee, I have a question for you.
What's that?
In the scene at the end when the parents show up and the fused version of Tim and Millie welcomes them and technically is welcoming the
Don't
mother.
do it. Don't do
Since
it.
Millie
Don't
makes up half of that being that is greeting their mother,
yes, please.
is that not a pass?
Listen. So
No?
what are you trying to tell me about the gender of that androgyne?
That's a multi-gender being.
So then it's not a woman.
That being contains a woman.
No, because it's something separate from a woman.
It's something that includes a woman.
Separate from a woman.
If I put you and a man in a room and someone interacts with both of you in the room, has that person not interacted with the woman?
They're interacting with two people. So when they interact with the man,
this is also two people.
No, that's the whole
people
point of the movie, that they're now two have become one. Don't you
Yeah,
didn't hear
two
the
in one.
Spice Girls? Two have become one.
The holy duality is two in one. What's the problem? That doesn't mean that that each part of the two ceases to exist.
I'm afraid not.
So you're telling me that Together doesn't pass the Bechdel test
Absolutely not.
because the fused version of Tim and Millie doesn't count as a woman at all.
Also, does the mum say anything?
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't. I don't think the mum says a damn thing.
She just looks shocked. Yeah, no, it fails. It's really crazy. And it would have been so easy for a movie like this to pass. Like, she could have had another teacher in the school. She could have had a neighbor, gardener, anything. Very
but again,
bizarre.
This is something we spoke about with Materialists. These sorts of movies that focus on romance, it's always like these directors and writers think that romance for a woman necessarily comes at the cost of her community. I just want these people to know it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. You could have given her a friend where she does a cute little kiki. Maybe the friend comes to check on her for something. It's really not that deep.
I think there are some things about the character of Millie that I find interesting when viewed through a gender lens of what does it mean for a woman to not be able to imagine what it is to be single, and how society imposes that upon your brain to the point of you literally disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
and you completely losing yourself in something
Facts.
and you pretty much dying, and how that leads to death of your existence.
Yep.
It kind of works for me, especially because of Alison Brie's performance. Because in a lot of the scenes in the movie, I could feel that like desperation behind her eyes, not in a just purely cringy or silly way, but in an almost kind of sad and sympathetic way. And so you just want to shake her, both of them really, but especially her, and say, it's not by force. You will not die just because you and your partner break up and you'll be single for some time. You'll find another man
You'll
on Hinge.
find
These
another.
kind these kind of people, once one relationship ends, they jump into another one anyway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You'll be okay, babe. It's
There's
fine.
plenty of men looking for a woman to pay all their bills. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
This man almost led to you being on the child offender
Like,
registry. Wake up, baby.
and I think the scene that really solidifies the fact that she can't see anything other than to be partnered in some way is the scene where the friend calls her and she tells her friend a little bit, and we can sense that she's hiding some things from her friend, right? And even so, the friend is like, listen, you don't need to be with this guy. Leave the guy. In fact, I'm gonna come and see what's going on because this sounds a bit funky to me. The friend asks her, what is actually keeping you with him? And she says something like, well, 10 years ago, he did this thing for me.
And
So
this goes back to the director Michael Shanks, where I saw that little burst of a moment in his interview talking about the movie and talking about the fact that he's been with his own partner for almost 20 years, where he's like, I don't even know where this relationship starts and ends anymore. Like, I don't know myself without her. Like, he was basically implying that if we were for some reason to not be together, who would I even be? Or what would that mean for me? Or where would I go from there? And in my
mm,
head, I'm like, this is not a reason to break up with someone, but
mm,
that's not a reason to be with someone either.
exactly, exactly. You'd be surprised how
Like,
many people don't agree with what you just said.
you should, if you're in a relationship and you love that person, be in your relationship and you love that person. But it's actually a dangerous position for you to put yourself in, that you cannot imagine what you look like in that person's absence at all. Because also tragedies occur.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you have children and stuff like that, like it's a bit scary when I see these people that completely lose themselves in people. I'm like,
Mm.
how? But maybe I'm just biased because I have such an extreme independence streak. I quite literally cannot fathom what that would be like.
For me, this movie wasn't particularly scary, but what scares me is this conversation and Michael Shanks doubling down and saying this movie is a happy ending. The fact that you have to double check yourself and say, oh, I wonder if it's just because I'm hyper independent. That's the real horror for me.
Ooh.
That as a society, simply saying that you should be able to see yourself as an individual separate from your partner, the fact that that's a controversial statement, that's the horror movie for me. And so when I watched that
Ooh.
interview and I saw Michael
Clark
Shanks
it.
saying that, I was just like, I, I don't know what to say. And also, I think people who have the views that I have or that you have, we are often told that, well, you're just not a romantic. And it's almost seen as like a negative thing. Well, you just don't get it. You're not a romantic. And I'm like, well, you guys are giving romance a bad name. I don't want to be in any situation like what you guys are describing. It's okay to have a situation where a couple still know who they are, independent of each other. What's the problem?
You're you're saying you don't want to fuse into your partner whilst dancing to a Spice Girls song in the
So
middle of
literally,
the woods.
when I watched this movie and I saw the ending, I was like, oh, they're saying this is the horror of being in a codependent relationship. When I left the movie, I thought, okay, that's a decent ending. Like it's a bad ending, but they're telling us something. Until I see Michael Shanks saying he's happy.
I believe in death of the author, though. I don't care that he thinks that way. I still see it as a horror ending because I think the movie you've watched for those first 90 minutes or whatever, you cannot, I cannot, as a viewer, view it as anything but them laying out to me in no uncertain terms why these people being together for the rest of their lives will be miserable for them. So the fact that it ultimately culminates in them being forced to be together for the rest of their lives, I don't know how you as a
That's
viewer
a horror for
can't
you.
see that as anything but horror. Just because he seems to think otherwise, to me, doesn't really matter to me. Because again, like I said, that's his own psychosis that's going on. And that's fine. To be a great artist, you need to be a bit crazy. But the moment you publish your art, it's not in your hands anymore.
I think the point I'm more so making, I agree with you, but I think the point I'm more so making is that I no longer trust the narrative. I don't trust what this man has to say. I don't. And I can still appreciate the movie. I can still admit, again, I'm saying this movie is mid to good. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I recommend people to go and watch it. I did enjoy it. It's just that I have a really unsettling feeling in my stomach knowing that this man has put this movie out there and he thinks this is a happy ending. That's all.
I get what you're saying. I get it. Especially considering, again, like we said, this is a movie that doesn't pass the Bechdel test. So what does it mean that a man feels that way about that being how the story concludes for this woman?
Bear in mind, Millie is now trapped paying all of his bills for life now.
Wait, but here's the thing. And you know another thing? They've lost their ability to get two incomes.
Yeah. I mean, they never had two incomes anyway.
They never had two, but there was even maybe the hope of potential that maybe one day he'll make it big. Now that's absolutely
It's gone.
impossible. This Tilly person can't be in the school and at the gigs at the same time.
You think I didn't just clock you? Why are you saying Tilly? As in
Because
Tilly
that's
and
the
Billy,
person.
Tim and Billy.
That's the person we saw at the end, Tilly.
You're wrong for that.
Do you think when Tilly shows up in school tomorrow, anybody's going to ask any questions?
I must say that the CGI was so uncanny valley, and I get that that was the point. They did a really good job of that. When I saw the final
It
product, I
was
was like,
disorienting
"Oof!"
as fuck. I
Yeah,
literally was like, "What? What?" Like I was shook. I should have
yeah.
known exactly what was coming, but the visual of it, I was like, "Oh my god!" How deep is Together?
2000, 2000 out of 6,000 fathoms.
Together is 350 fathoms deep. I enjoy this movie quite a bit, but it is shallow, shallow, shallow.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is what you get. What you think it is exactly what it is. It
Yeah.
is about codependency. It's about being so attached to someone that you fuse into one, clearly, in every way, and no more. Now let's do our review segment. So this person, Simon, on Letterboxd says, this is what happens to plagiarists. Dee, do you want to talk about
Ooh,
these allegations?
ooh. Yes. So there was another movie called The Better Half, and the writers of that movie are alleging that Michael Shanks plagiarized their movie. Basically, what I understand is that movie is based on a couple who have had a one night stand, and then they start to fuse into one another. But I understand that it's more of a rom com, whereas again, it actually depends how you interpret Together. To be honest, it's marketed as a horror movie, but according to what Michael Shanks is saying, it's not supposed to be read that way. So, I'm not even sure where to stand on that front.
You know how we thought Materialist was a horror movie masquerading as a rom com?
Hmm.
To me, this is more of a rom com masquerading as a horror movie. Because it
Agreed.
does make me laugh. And it made me laugh much more than The Materialist. And
Agreed.
whilst it's not romantic, I'm not rooting for the couple. I believe them as a couple more than I believed anybody in Materialist.
Agreed. Yes, I think there's actually an active lawsuit covering this. So yeah, I'm not sure where to stand on that. I don't know the facts. I don't think this movie is particularly original anyway, for reasons we've discussed. Aside from the lawsuit. So yeah,
Is this person saying that like plagiarists will end up getting fused into someone against their will, or are they just saying you get your half-star review because you're a plagiarist?
I wouldn't be surprised if this idea came from someone else and then it hasn't been executed properly. That's actually the vibe I'm getting, to be honest. But again, I'm not necessarily saying that it comes from Better Half. Next comment from Vasily on Letterbox says that one scene from Queer 2024, but it's 102 minutes longer.
3.5 stars. Is it really that deep? It is that deep. This
It
is
is.
facts. The whole sequence in Queer that this person is referring to is where Daniel Craig's character and Drew Starkey's character are high on ayahuasca and they are tripping out in the forest and they essentially just start dancing and moving together and their bodies are kind of fusing into one to represent the fact that they're able to engage with each other more freely and more honestly than they ever have before. that is a very art housey scene. There's nothing art house going on here together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is that deep. This movie
Mm-hmm.
does look like give the vibes of stuff like that. We've also mentioned the substance.
Mm-hmm.
Substance does the prosthetics better though.
The next comment from Blue on Letterboxd says, "This is what happens to straight people who call each other partner. 3 stars." Thoughts?
It is that deep. Again, the how you read this movie and any queer coding in this movie is kind of interesting to me. The fact that they're not married, but she's proposing to him, the fact that I don't think children ever comes up between them at all. The
No.
fact that she calls him her partner, the fact that they become one after they've seen what happens to her queer co-worker who has become one consentingly with his partner. I would need some like queer theorists to unpack that better than I think I could, but there's something there.
Now we're going to do trailer watch, where we live react to a trailer for an upcoming film or TV show we're interested in.
She looks good.
Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Michelle.
She
I
does.
believe every company should strive to form a diverse table, to empower people with
Hey.
different skills, and every time, what is it?
Skills and identities.
To foster
Girl
a new
Boss, the
generation.
horror
Okay,
movie.
let's go again.
They want you to think
Is
it's
that
you.
Jesse Plemons?
That
It
you
is. It's my
who made
fave.
This world.
Why is he looking like this?
If you watch
It's
Kind of
always been
Kindness,
Oh,
see him looking like that.
oh, I liked him, Johnny. Is this not the Twilight
All
House?
we've lost,
Is it?
all that's been done to us. We're setting that right again.
I don't like comedy about women being kidnapped and
Greetings.
abused.
Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
She looks
Where's
terrified.
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership.
Okay.
But why does she look like this though?
She looks almost
In the next
Frankenstein.
48 hours, the police and the FBI will begin a statewide manhunt. I'm a
Period.
high-profile female corporate executive.
Okay, red bottoms.
I am crucial. In all humility, I can say that. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. There is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now.
The style is amazing, I would say.
I've done a ton of research on this. You're killing our planet.
Oh, so they're like
I'm not
eco-terrorists.
an alien.
You're lying to me.
What's the difference? You know this is crazy. You know this is wrong.
Oh god.
I can see the poor things in the
I
aesthetic.
know
Yeah.
who you are. I know what you are.
I know
Oh.
you too, Teddy.
No. No, no, no. Oh. Interesting. Huh.
Gives us absolutely nothing, but it looks great. Looks beautiful.
Great. Okay, yeah, aesthetically it looks
Yeah,
nice.
aesthetically, yeah.
Yorgos movies always have pretty cool cinematography and production design. This is no exception, even though it's a very contemporary setting, which most of his movies are not. I'm very thrown off by how Jesse Plemons looks. What happened to my teddy bear?
Oh, not Teddy Bear. He hasn't looked like that since Killers of a Flower Moon, I think.
Oh, that's the last time I saw him.
Oh, you need to watch the other Yorgos, Jesse Plemons, and Emma Stone movie, which is Kinds of Kindness.
I
As
will
I've been
watch
telling
it.
you multiple times.
I will watch it. After Poor Things, I was kind of just
You're done, yeah.
over Yorgos, and I was like, I don't want to consume this man's art. But I love Hunter Schafer, so I will watch Kinds of Kindness, even though I know she's only in it for a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely be watching this movie, and I know there'll be lots of conversations on it. Just based off this trailer, I'm immediately thinking of when Kim Kardashian was held captive in her bathroom in Paris for some time. I also got some vibes of Baby Girl because of the girl boss of it all.
That's true.
Emma Stone is a person who, when she was very focused on comedy earlier on in her career, I enjoyed her work a lot more. Now that she's like this very serious, dramatic actress, I understand that technically what she does is pretty good, but for some reason I don't want to very often anymore. Like, I haven't warmed to an Emma Stone performance in years and years and years.
Mm.
I'm already seeing lots of praise for this movie. We'll see. We'll see how I feel.
I think, after Poor Things, I really wasn't impressed by this trio, actually. Actually, apart from Jesse Plemons, I do have a soft spot.
I was going to say.
I do. That's my babe. But
Leave Jesse alone.
I just don't trust Yorgos. Now, to be fair,
No.
Kinds of Kindness wasn't too bad when it came to gender politics for me. But like you said, I don't really warm to movies that use violence against women as the main motif. But we'll see. I'll be open-minded. I love the stylization. I'll give it a chance. Thanks for going deep with us. Like us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you're streaming this from.
Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you next time.